Tonight, you are not where you usually are, not in your bed, not in your room, not surrounded by the quiet, familiar sounds of your own world. Instead, you are somewhere older, somewhere far away, where the night feels deeper and the silence feels heavier. You are walking slowly along a narrow dirt road. The ground beneath your feet is uneven, softened by days of damp air and forgotten footsteps. Your boots press gently into the earth with each step, a soft, steady rhythm that echoes into the stillness around you. There are no other sounds, no voices, no laughter, no distant movement. Only the wind. It moves lazily through the village ahead, brushing against wooden walls, slipping through cracks in doors, nudging loose shutters so they creak ever so slightly. You can see the village now, small houses, lined unevenly along winding path. Their roofs sag just a little with age, their windows dark and hollow, like quiet eyes that no longer expect to see anything. Once, this place was alive. You remember it, or at least, it feels like you do. There were voices here, warmth, light spilling from windows in the evening, children running between the houses, their footsteps quick and careless. Merchants calling out from small wooden stalls, their voices layered over one another in a gentle chaos. And above it all, the slow, steady ringing of the church bell, marking time, adding the rhythm of each day. But now the bell does not ring. It stands in the distance, barely visible against the night sky, silent and still. You stop walking for a moment. The air is colder here, not sharp, not biting, just empty, like something has been taken away and never returned. You take a slow breath, even that feels quieter than it should, and yet you are not afraid. There is no rush in your movements, no tension in your chest, only a quiet understanding that this is how things are now. You begin walking again. Your path leads you deeper into the village, past homes with doors slightly open, as if someone left in a hurry, or perhaps never had the chance to close them. A loose piece of wood taps softly against a wall somewhere, again and again and again, carried by the wind. It becomes part of the rhythm of the night. You pass a small cart, tilted to one side. One of its wheels is missing, lying a few feet away, half sunken into the dirt. It looks like it has been there for a very long time. No one has come to fix it. No one has come back at all. And still, you are here, because there is something you must do, something simple, something quiet, something that no one asked you to continue, but you continued anyway. You make candles. The thought settles gently in your mind. Every night, you melt the wax, shape it, wait for it to cool, and carry the finished candles into the darkness of the village. You place them beside the homes, on wooden tables, near empty beds, beside windows that no longer open, and then you light them, one by one, a small flame in a silent room. A soft glow where there should be none. You do not know if anyone sees them. You do not know if anyone needs them, but still you light them. Because somewhere, deep inside, it feels wrong to let the darkness have everything. You walk a little further. Your workshop is close now. You can almost see it, a small shape at the edge of the village, where the road begins to fade into open land. It is the only place that still feels occupied, not alive, exactly, but used. Faint scent reaches you before you arrive. Wax and smoke, familiar, steady, unchanging. You step up to the wooden door. It creaks softly as you push it open, the sound stretching to the quiet night before gently fading away. Inside, it is darker than you expected. For a moment, you simply stand there, listening. There is nothing, No movement, no breath, no sound beyond the distant wind outside. And yet, the space does not feel empty. It feels waiting, as if it has been expecting you. You step inside, slowly, and close the door behind you. The world outside disappears almost completely. Now, there is only you and the quiet work that awaits. You move through the familiar space without thinking. Your hands know where everything is: the table, the molds, the wicks, the old metal pot resting above a small, patient flame. You pause beside it. The flame flickers gently, as if it has been burning this whole time, just enough to stay alive, just enough to be ready for you. You watch it for a moment. Then, slowly, you reach for the wax, because the night has only just begun, and there are still candles to make. The door settles into place behind you, and with it, the outside world fades. Inside your workshop, everything feels softer. The darkness here is not empty. It is gentle, familiar, almost comforting. A small flame beneath the metal pot flickers quietly, casting a slow, breathing light across the wooden walls. Shadows stretch and shrink, moving in calm rhythm with the fire. You take a few slow steps forward. The floor creaks beneath your weight, not sharply, not suddenly, but in a way that feels expected, like the room recognizing you. You've walked this path many times, always at night, always alone. Your hand reaches the edge of the wooden table. The surface is worn smooth, shaped by years of work. There are faint marks, small scratches, rings left by heat and time. You let your fingers rest there for a moment. Stillness. And gently, you begin. You take a block of hardened wax from a small crate beside the table. It is pale, almost colorless, with edges softened from handling. It feels cool in your hands, solid, quiet. Something that has not yet decided what it will become. You lift it slowly and place it into the metal pot above the flame. There is no rush. There is never any rush. The wax sits there for a moment, unchanged, as if it is thinking, as if it needs time to accept a heat. You adjust the flame just slightly. The fire responds with a soft flicker, growing just enough to touch the bottom of the pot more firmly. And then, slowly, the wax begins to soften, not all at once. Just at the edges first, a gentle surrender. You watch closely. This part always requires patience. The solid shape begins to lose its sharpness, its certainty, its form. It sinks inward, melting into itself, becoming something slower, something quieter. You pick up a wooden stirring stick, worn smooth from years of use. Carefully, you lower it into the pot. The wax resists at first, thick and heavy, but gradually it begins to move. You stir slowly, a circular motion, steady and unbroken. The sound is soft, almost nothing, just the faintest whisper of movement against metal. This is the rhythm of your nights. Stir, pause, breathe, watch, and wait. The flame beneath the pot flickers again, casting warm light across your hands. For a moment, you notice how still everything else is. No footsteps outside. No voices drifting through cracks in the walls. No sudden sounds to interrupt the quiet. Only the slow transformation of wax and the steady presence of the fire. You continue stirring. The wax becomes smoother now, losing its resistance, turning into something fluid, something calm. It moves like thick honey, golden in the firelight, reflecting the flicker of the flame in soft, shifting patterns. You pause, let the stick rest against the edge of the pot, and simply watch. There is something peaceful in this moment, something that does not ask questions. The world outside may have changed, may have fallen silent, may have forgotten itself entirely, but here, In this small space, things still make sense. Wax melts, fire burns, light is made. You take a slow breath. It feels warmer here, not just from the fire, but from the quiet purpose of what you are doing. Your eyes drift toward the shelves along the wall. Rows of finished candles rest there, some tall, some short, some perfectly shaped, others slightly uneven. Each one holds a small wick, waiting to be lit, waiting to push back the darkness, even if only for a little while. You look at them for a moment longer than usual. There are many now, more than you remember making, but you do not question it. You simply turn back to your work. The wax is ready. You can feel it, see it, the way it moves without resistance, the way it holds the light within it. You reach for the molds on the table. They are arranged neatly, as they always are. Each one already holds a wick, tied carefully in place, perfectly centered, perfectly still. You adjust one slightly, straightening the thread, making sure it stands upright. Small details matter, even now, especially now. You lift the pot slowly. The metal is warm in your hands, but not too hot. You have done this so many times. Your movements are careful, precise, almost effortless. You tilt the pot. The wax begins to pour. A slow, steady stream, thick and glowing, filling the first mold with quiet intention. You watch as it rises, surrounding the wick, settling into place. No sound, only movement. You move to the next mold, and the next, each one filled the same way, each one given the same care, the same patience. Time feels different here. It stretches, softens, loses its edges. There is no need to hurry. No one is waiting. And yet, you continue, because this is what you do, because this is what remains. When the last mold is filled, you lower the pot gently back onto its place above the flame. A faint ripple moves across the surface of the wax in each mold, then slowly begins to still. You step back, your hands rest at your sides, and for a moment you do nothing. You simply stand there, watching the light reflect off the surface of the cooling wax. The room is quiet again, just the soft flicker of the flame, just the slow settling of something newly made. And then, very faintly, you feel it. Not a sound, not a movement, just a presence. As if the room is not entirely yours, as if something unseen has drawn just a little closer, curious, silent, watching the light take shape. You do not turn, you do not react. You have felt this before, and still you continue your work, because the candles must be finished, and the night is still long. The wax begins to settle. At first, it trembles slightly within each mold, a faint ripple moving across the surface, like a quiet breath passing through still water. Then, slowly, it calms. You stand beside the table, watching. There is no urgency in your movements, no need to hurry the cooling. Time moves differently here. It stretches, soft and unbroken, like the slow drift of the night itself. The flame beneath the pot flickers gently behind you, its light brushing against the walls, casting long shadows that shift, then settle, then shift again. You reach out, just slightly, and touch the edge of one mold, still warm, not ready yet. So you wait. Your hands rest lightly on the table, fingers relaxed, unmoving. The silence around you deepens, but it does not feel empty. It feels full, in a quiet, unspoken way, as if something lingers just beyond your awareness. Not close enough to touch, but not far enough to ignore. You lower your gaze to the rows of candles. Each one holds a wick, standing perfectly still at the center, thin, fragile, patient, waiting for the moment it will be lit, waiting to become something more than it is now. You adjust one gently, straightening the thread with careful fingers. It bends slightly, then returns upright. Perfect again. Your movements are slow, deliberate, guided more by habit than thought. You have done this so many times, and yet each time feels just a little different. You walk along the table, checking each mold. Some are beginning to firm at the edges, their surfaces turning slightly dull, losing the soft shine of melted wax. Others remain fluid, still holding the warmth of the fire. You pause near the end of the row. There is one candle, just one, that seems to have settled more quickly than the others. You lean in slightly. Its surface is smooth, still, almost perfectly formed, earlier than it should be. You do not question it. You simply reach out and brush your fingers lightly across the top. Cool, completely cool. A quiet stillness moves through you. Not surprise, not fear, just awareness. You withdraw your hand, and for a moment, you listen. The workshop remains silent. The flame flickers softly. The wooden walls breathe with the faint pressure of the wind outside. Nothing has changed, and yet something feels different. You turn slightly, just enough to glance over your shoulder. The room behind you is dim, filled with familiar shapes, tools, shelves, shadows. Nothing out of place, nothing moving, nothing there. You hold that gaze for a moment longer, then gently turn back to the table. Your work is not finished. You reach for a small metal pin, resting near the edge of the table. Carefully, you use it to guide the wicks, ensuring each one remains centered as the wax continues to cool. Small adjustments, quiet corrections, each movement precise, practiced, almost instinctive. The candles respond in silence. Slowly, gradually, they begin to take their final form, solid, steady, ready. You move from one mold to the next, your steps soft against the wooden floor. The faint creak follows you, stretching into the stillness, then fading away again and again. The same gentle rhythm. Check, adjust, pause, breathe. The night continues around you, unseen, unfelt, held at a distance by the walls of your workshop. And yet, there is that feeling again, stronger this time, not sudden, not sharp, but present, like someone standing just behind you, close enough to hear your breath, close enough to watch your hands move. You do not turn, you let the feeling remain, because you have learned something. Over these long, quiet nights, it does not come closer unless you acknowledge it. So you continue. You lift one of the finished candles carefully from its mold. It slides free with ease, its surface smooth, pale, unmarked. You hold it in your hand. It feels lighter than it should, balanced, still, complete. For a moment, you simply look at it, at the wick, at the shape, at the quiet promise it carries. Light, wool, waiting to happen. You place it gently onto the table beside you, then another and another. One by one, you remove the candles from their molds, setting them in a neat row, each one identical in purpose, each one silent. The room begins to change, not in sound, but in presence. Where there was once only raw materials, there is now something finished, something ready, something that will soon leave this place and enter the empty homes beyond. You finish the last candle, set it down, and step back. The table is filled now, rows of pale shapes, standing quietly in the dim light, waiting, always waiting. You rest your hands at your sides, and for a moment, you allow yourself to be still. The flame behind you flickers once, twice, then steadies. The air feels heavier now, not warm, not cold, just filled. As if the space around you has quietly gathered something unseen. You close your eyes, just briefly, not in fear, not in thought, just resting in the stillness. And in that moment, you almost hear it, a sound so faint, so distant, it barely exists, a soft shift, like fabric brushing against wood, like a step, taken slowly, carefully, just beyond the edge of your hearing. Your eyes open, the room is unchanged, the candles stand in their rows, the flame burns steadily, nothing moves, nothing speaks, and yet, you know, you are not entirely alone, but still, your work continues, because the candles are ready now, and soon they must be carried into the night. The candles are ready. They stand in quiet rows across the table, smooth, pale, perfectly still. Each one holds a wick, waiting patiently for its moment of light. You reach for the wooden crate beneath the table. It scrapes softly against the floor as you pull it closer, the sound low, gentle, fading quickly into the stillness. You begin placing the candles inside, one by one, carefully. There is no need to rush. Your hands move with quiet precision, lifting each candle, settling it into the crate, making sure they do not touch too closely. They must remain whole, unbroken. Each one has its place. When the crate is full, you pause. Your hands rest lightly on the edge. The room feels different now, emptier, as if something has shifted, as if the act of finishing your work has changed the air itself. The flame beneath the pot flickers behind you, smaller now, softer. You turn toward it. For a moment, you simply watch. Then, slowly, you reach down and lower the flame until it becomes faint glow, just enough to remain alive, just enough to welcome you back later. The shadows in the room deepen, the corners grow darker, but the space still feels familiar, still feels. You lift the crate. It is not heavy, not anymore. Or perhaps you have simply grown used to the weight. You walk toward the door, each step soft, steady, the wooden floor responding beneath you with quiet creaks that seem almost reassuring. Your hand reaches the door. The wood is cool beneath your fingers. You hesitate, just for a moment, not because you are unsure, but because you feel it again, that presence, stronger now, closer, not behind you, but somewhere, within the room itself, waiting, watching. You do not turn, you do not look for it. Instead, you open the door. The night air slips in immediately, cool and still, carrying with it the faint scent of damp earth and distant wood. You step outside, and the door closes gently behind you. The world is quiet. Just as you left it, the village stretches out before you, a collection of dark shapes under a sky without movement. No stars seem to shine here tonight, or perhaps they are simply hidden. Your boots press into the dirt path as you begin walking. The crate rests securely in your arms. The candles inside remain perfectly still. You move along the main path, past the first row of houses. Their doors hang slightly open, their windows dark, their silence complete. You have walked this path many times, and yet each time feels new. Each time carries that same quiet uncertainty. You stop at the first house. It stands just beside the road, its wooden frame worn, its roof slightly uneven. The door is already open. It always is. You step closer. The air inside is colder. Not sharply, but noticeably, like the warmth never returned. You enter. The floor creaks beneath your weight, the sound stretching into the empty space before fading away. The room is simple. A small table, a chair, a bed in the corner. Everything remains exactly as it was. Nothing has moved. Nothing has changed. You set the crate down gently beside the table. Then you reach for a candle. Your fingers wrap around it. Steady, familiar. You place it at the center of the table. For a moment, you simply look at it, at the wick, at the stillness. Then you reach into your pocket. A small flint, worn smooth from use. You strike it once, a brief spark, then again, a small flame catches, flickering softly in your hand. You bring it closer to the wick. There is a pause, a quiet moment where nothing happens. Then the flame takes. It rises gently, a small, steady light, casting a soft glow across the room. The shadows shift. The walls seem to breathe. The space changes. It no longer feels entirely empty. You watch the flame for a moment longer. It burns calmly, without struggle, without sound. You step back. The candle remains. Single point of light, standing against the darkness. You turn toward the door, but before you leave, you feel it, that same presence, closer now, not in the workshop, not distant, here, inside the house. You stop. Your hand rests lightly against the doorframe, and for a moment, you listen. There is no sound, no movement, and yet the air feels occupied, as if someone stands just beyond the edge of the candlelight, just outside what you can see, watching, not threatening, not moving, just there. You do not look. You have learned not to look. Instead, you step outside. The night welcomes you again, cool, quiet, unchanged. You pick up the crate. There are more candles inside, more homes waiting, more empty rooms to fill with light. You walk to the next house, then the next, each one the same, each one different. In every room, you place a candle. In every room, you light it. And each time, that feeling returns, stronger, closer, more certain. You are not bringing light into empty places. You are bringing light to something that remains. You continue walking. The crate grows lighter. The village grows quieter. And the night feels just a little less empty than before. The crate is lighter now, not empty, but no longer full. Each step you take feels softer, as if the road itself is beginning to forget the weight of your passing. You move deeper into the village. The houses here stand closer together, their walls leaning slightly inward, as though they have spent too long listening, too long waiting. The wind is quieter in this part. It does not move as freely. It slips between the buildings, more carefully, whispering instead of brushing. You slow your steps, not because you are tired, but because something feels different here. The air is thicker, not heavy, not difficult to breathe, just present, as if it holds something unseen. You stop in front of another house. This one is smaller, lowered to the ground, its roof dipping toward one side, its wooden door only half open. It moves slightly as you approach, a soft, uneven sway, though there is no wind strong enough to push it. You stand there for a moment, watching, listening. Nothing changes, and so, gently, you step inside. The room greets you with the same quiet stillness. A table sits near the center, with two chairs placed opposite each other. You notice them immediately, not because they are unusual, but because they feel intentional, as if they were left that way, not abandoned, but paused. You set the crate down. The sound is softer here, as though the room absorbs it, holding it close instead of letting it echo. You reach for a candle, place it on the table. Between the two chairs, for a moment, you hesitate. Your hand rests beside the candle, fingers still, unmoving. There is something about this space, something that feels remembered, not by you, but by the room itself. You can almost imagine it. Two people sitting here, facing each other, speaking in low voices, hands resting on the table, a candle burning softly between them. The image is quiet, calm, and then it fades. You strike the flint, a spark, Another. The flame appears again, small and steady. You bring it to the wick, and once more the light takes hold. The candle glows. The room changes. The shadows pull back slightly, revealing more of the walls, the edges of objects, the stillness of everything left behind. You step back, and that is when you notice it. One of the chairs, just slightly, not where it was. You pause. Your eyes settle on it. The movement is small, almost nothing, but you are certain. When you entered, both chairs were perfectly aligned. Now, one sits just a little closer to the table. You do not react. You do not question it. You simply stand there, breathing slowly, allowing the moment to exist. The candle flame flickers gently. Its light shifts across the surface of the table, touching the edges of the chair, casting a shadow that stretches, then settles. Nothing moves again. The room becomes still, as if it has decided to return to quiet. You step back toward the crate, pick it up, and walk toward the door. But as you reach the threshold, you feel it again, stronger than before, not behind you, not hidden, here, in front of you. For just a moment, the air seems to change. It cools slightly, and there is a sense, not of being watched, but of being acknowledged, as if something knows you are here, knows what you are doing, and allows it. You step outside. The night feels different now, not as empty, not as distant. The village no longer feels abandoned. It feels occupied, quietly, gently, in ways that do not disturb the silence, but exist within it. You continue walking. The crate rests against your arms, lighter now, easier to carry. You pass more houses, some with doors closed, some with windows slightly open, some with nothing at all, just dark spaces where life once was, and yet each one feels aware. You stop at another home, this one larger. Its door is fully closed. You reach out, place your hand against the wood, and push. The door opens slowly, with a long, quiet creak, as if it had been waiting for this moment. Inside, the air is warmer, faintly, not from fire, but from something else, something that lingers. You step in. The room is different. More objects, more signs of life. A shelf filled with small items, a cloak draped over a chair, a cup resting on the edge of a table, unmoved, unfinished. You set the crate down again, take another candle, place it gently near the center of the room, and as you prepare to light it, you notice something. A candle already there, on the far side of the table, burning, softly, steadily. You freeze. Your hand remains still, the flint resting between your fingers. You stare at the flame. It does not flicker wildly. It does not struggle. It burns calmly, as if it has always been there, as if it was never unlit. A slow breath leaves your chest. You do not step closer. You do not reach out. You simply watch. The light moves gently, casting soft shadows along the walls. Nothing else changes. Nothing reveals itself. And yet, you know, you did not light this candle. You have not been here tonight. And still, the light exists. You lower your hand. The flint remains unused. For a moment, you consider leaving, but something inside you remains steady, unshaken. This does not stop your work. It does not change your purpose. So, slowly, carefully, you place your candle beside the other. Two flames now, side by side, burning quietly, without sound, without question. You step back, and as you do, the air shifts once more, subtle, gentle, like a quiet breath taken somewhere nearby, not seen, not heard, but felt. And this time, you understand something. You are not the only one lighting candles. You never were. You turn. Walk toward the door. Step outside into the night once more. The crate is almost empty now. Only a few candles remain, and the village no longer feels like a place left behind. It feels like a place that continues in its own quiet way, with its own silent inhabitants, and you are simply part of it. The crate is nearly empty now. Only a few candles remain, resting quietly against the wood, as if they, too, are waiting to be placed. You walk further into the village. This part feels older. The houses stand closer together, their walls leaning slightly, or wooden beams worn smooth by time and weather. The path narrows beneath your feet. Dirt gives way to uneven stone, each step producing a softer, more hollow sound. Tap, pause, tap. Your footsteps echo just a little here, not loudly, just enough to remind you that the space is smaller, more enclosed. The air feels still. The wind no longer moves through these streets. It has stopped at the edges, as if it chooses not to enter. You continue forward, slowly, carefully. There is no fear in your movement, only awareness, a quiet understanding that this place is different. You stop. Not because you planned to, but because something changes. Your foot has barely touched the ground when you hear it. Another step behind you, soft, measured, almost perfectly matching your own. You remain still. The sound stops. The silence returns. But it is not the same silence as before. It feels shared. You take another step, tap, and again another step follows. Tap, not louder, not closer, just there. You do not turn. You do not need to. You already know. You are no longer walking alone, and yet you feel no danger, no urgency. Only a quiet presence, moving with you, keeping pace, without crossing into the light. You continue down a narrow street. The sound remains. Step, step. Each of your movements, answered by another, always just behind you, always just out of reach. The crate shifts slightly in your arms. You adjust your grip, steadying it, keeping the candles safe. There are only a few left now. Not many homes remain in this part of the village, but still, you will place them. Still, you will light them. You reach the next house. It is smaller than the others, almost hidden between two larger structures. Its door is closed. The wood looks darker here, aged, worn, marked by time in a way that feels deeper. You step up to it. The footsteps behind you stop. The silence grows thicker. You raise your hand and gently press against the door. It opens, slowly, without resistance, as if it had never been closed at all. You step inside. The air is different here, cooler, but not empty. It feels settled, like a room that has been still for a very long time, but has not been forgotten. You set the crate down near the wall. The floor beneath your feet creaks softly, a low, drawn-out sound that fades into the space around you. The room is simple, a bed in the corner, a small table, a single chair, nothing unusual, nothing disturbed. And yet, there is something here. You can feel it. Not moving, not watching, just present. Reach for one of the last candles. Hold it for a moment, then place it on the table. Your movements remain calm, steady, unchanged. You take out the flint, strike it, a spark, then another. The flame appears, soft, small. You bring it to the wick, and once again, the light. The candle begins to burn. Its glow spreads gently across the room, touching the edges of the bed, the surface of the table, the quiet outline of the chair. You step back, and as you do, you hear it again, a step inside the room, not behind you, not outside, here, with you. You remain still, your breath slow, even, controlled. Another step, closer this time. But still, not seen. The candle flickers once, just slightly, then steadies. You lower your hand. The flint rests quietly at your side, and for the first time, you do something different. You speak. Not loudly, not sharply, just softly. You can stay. The words leave your mouth and settle into the room. There is no echo, no response, only silence. But it is no longer empty. The air shifts. Not dramatically, just enough to feel, just enough to know whatever is here has heard you. You turn toward the door, lift the crate. There is only one candle left now. You step outside. The narrow street waits for you. Dark, still, quiet. You begin walking again. This time, there is no second set of footsteps, no sound behind you, no presence keeping pace. And yet, you do not feel alone, not anymore. You reach the end of the street. The path opens slightly, leading to a final house, standing apart from the others. This one feels different, not older, not abandoned, just separate. You stop in front of it. The last candle rests in your crate. You look at the door, closed, still, waiting. The night around you feels calm, complete. You take a slow breath and step forward, because there is still one light left to place, and the night is not finished with you yet. The last house stands apart from the others, not far, but far enough to feel separate. The space around it is open, quiet, untouched by the narrow closeness of the streets behind you. The ground here is smoother, less worn, as if fewer footsteps have passed this way, or perhaps none at all. You stand before the door. The crate rests lightly in your arms now, holding only a single candle, the final one. You look at the house. Its walls are straight, its roof unbroken, its windows dark but intact. There is nothing unusual about it, and yet it feels different, not empty, not abandoned, just waiting. You step closer. The air shifts slightly as you approach, cooler but calm, not heavy, not tense, simply aware. Your hand reaches the door. You rest your fingers against the wood. It is smooth, cleaner than the others, less worn by time. For a moment, you pause, not because you are unsure, but because something about this place asks you to slow down, to notice, to be present. You take a quiet breath, and gently, you push. The door opens without a sound. No creak, no resistance, just a smooth, silent movement. You step inside. The room is dim, not completely dark, just enough light from the open doorway behind you to reveal the shapes within. A table, a chair, a small bed, simple, familiar, and yet arranged with a kind of care you have not seen in the other homes. Nothing is out of place. Nothing feels abandoned. It feels prepared. You step further in. The floor does not creak here. It holds your weight quietly, as if it has been expecting you. You set the crate down, slowly, gently. The sound is soft, almost absorbed before it can fully form. Your hand reaches inside and lifts the final candle. You hold it for a moment. It feels the same as the others, smooth, cool, still. And yet, there is something about it now, not different, just final. You walk to the table, place the candle at its center. Your movements are calm, deliberate, unbroken. You take out the flint, hold it between your fingers, pause. The room feels full, not with sound, not with movement, but with presence, stronger than before, closer than before, not hidden, not distant, here, with you. You strike the flint, a spark, then another. The flame appears, small, steady. You bring it to the wick. There is a moment, a quiet space where nothing happens. Then the candle lights. The flame rises gently, casting a warm, steady glow across the room. The shadows pull back. The space changes. It no longer feels dim. It feels complete. You lower your hand. The flint rests at your side. And for a moment, you do nothing. You simply stand there, watching the flame, breathing slowly, letting the stillness settle around you. And then something shifts. Not in the air, not in the light, but in the space itself. The feeling you have carried all night, the quiet awareness of something unseen. It changes. It is no longer behind you, no longer beside you. It is in front of you. You lift your gaze. The room remains the same. The table, the chair, the bed. Nothing moves. Nothing reveals itself. And yet, you know, you are not alone. You take a slow breath, and this time, you turn, not quickly, not sharply, just gently, as if the movement has always been part of what would happen next. Your eyes move across the room. The corners remain still, the walls unchanged, the shadows soft, and then you notice it. The chair, it sits across from the table, facing the candle. When you entered, it was tucked slightly inward, close to the table. Now, it is pulled back, only a little, but enough to suggest that someone has stood up or is about to sit down. You remain still, your hands relaxed, your breath steady. The candle flame flickers once, then steadies again. You do not speak, you do not move closer. You simply stand there, allowing the moment to exist. The room feels calm, not tense, not uncertain, just shared, as if you have entered a space that belongs to more than one presence. And for the first time, it does not feel like you are bringing light into darkness. It feels like you are answering something, completing something. You take a step back, slowly. Your gaze remains on the candle, on the chair, on the quiet arrangement of the room. Nothing changes. Nothing follows. The presence does not move toward you. It does not retreat. It simply remains. You reach the door, step through it, and return to the night. The air outside feels different now, lighter, softer. The village behind you is no longer silent in the same way. It is still quiet, still calm, but no longer empty. You stand there for a moment, the crate in your hands, now empty. Your work complete. The final candle has been placed, the final light given. You look back at the house. The doorway remains open. The soft glow of the candle inside spills gently into the night. And for just a moment, it feels as though someone stands within that light, not visible, not formed, but present. You do not look too closely. You do not step forward. Instead, you turn and begin walking back, because the night is changing and something within it has begun to settle. The path feels different now, not because it has changed, but because something within it has. You walk slowly, away from the final house, the empty crate resting lightly in your hands. Behind you, the candle still burns. You can feel it, even without looking. A quiet presence of light, steady, complete. You do not turn back. There is no need. What has been done remains. You step onto the open ground, where the narrow street gives way to the wider path. The village stretches before you again, but now it is no longer dark, not entirely. Small points of light glow within the houses, soft, warm, steady. Each candle you placed now burns quietly, filling the empty rooms with a gentle presence. You pause, just for a moment, and take it in. The village, once silent and hollow, now holds something else, Not life as it once was, not voices, not movement, but light, and something that moves with it. You begin walking. Your steps fall into a slow rhythm. The empty crate shifts slightly against your arms, lighter than it has ever been, and for the first time tonight, you notice the silence has changed. It is no longer complete. It carries something, soft, faint, almost impossible to hear, a distant creak, a quiet shift, a movement that does not disturb, but exists. You pass the first house you visited. The door remains open. Inside, the candle still burns. Its light spills gently across the floor, reaching just to the edge of the doorway. You slow your steps, and as you pass, you feel it, a presence, not behind you, not following, inside, within the house, still, calm, present. You continue walking, house after house, each one glowing now, each one holding its own quiet light, and in each one, that same feeling, not watching, not waiting, simply there, as if the light has given shape to something that was always present, or perhaps has invited it to return. Your steps remain steady. You do not rush. There is no need. The night has softened. The air feels warmer now, not by much, just enough to notice. You pass the smaller house with the 2 chairs, the one where something shifted. You glance toward the doorway. The candle burns at the center of the table, its light, steady, its glow, calm. And for just a moment, you think you see it, a shape, not solid, not clear, just a suggestion, something seated across the table, still, facing the light. You do not stop. You do not look closer. You let the moment pass because it does not ask for your attention. It simply exists. You continue. The narrow street appears again, the one where your footsteps were not alone. You step onto the uneven stones. Tap, pause, tap. The sound echoes softly, and this time there is no second step behind you, but the space does not feel empty. It feels accompanied, as if the presence that once followed now walks beside you, or perhaps no longer needs to move at all. You walk through the street. The walls on either side no longer feel closing. They feel held, contained, like a place that has remembered something it had forgotten. At the end of the street, you pause again, not out of uncertainty, but out of quiet awareness. The village is behind you now, lit softly, completely, each home holding its own flame, each flame holding its own silence, and within that silence, something gentle, something calm, something that does not disturb. You take a slow breath, and as you exhale, you notice something else. The air no longer feels watched. It no longer carries that quiet tension, the distant awareness from before. Instead, it feels settled, as if whatever moved within the darkness has found its place within the light. You turn your gaze toward the edge of the village. Your workshop waits there. A small shape in the distance, still, familiar, the place where this night began. You begin walking again, each step soft, each movement unbroken. The crate rests easily in your arms, empty now, but not without purpose, because the work is done. The candles have been placed, the light has been given, and the village is no longer what it was. You pass the final row of houses. The glow of their candles fades gently behind you, becoming softer, more distant, until it blends into the quiet of the night. And still, you feel it, not behind you, not ahead, but everywhere. A quiet presence, not watching, not following, just existing, at peace. You reach the edge of the village. The open land stretches beyond, dark, wide, still, but it does not call you, not tonight. Tonight, you return to the place where the flame waits, where the wax will melt again, where the quiet work will continue. You approach a workshop. The door stands exactly as you left it, closed. Still, waiting, you step up to it. Your hand rests against the wood, and for a moment you pause, not because something feels wrong, but because something feels complete. You have walked the village. You have placed the light. You have felt the presence that moves within it. And now you return. You push the door open and step inside. The darkness greets you once more, soft, familiar, unchanged. And yet, not entirely the same, because something has followed you back, not as a shadow, not as a presence behind you, but as something quieter, something that now belongs. The door closes gently, and the night continues. The door closes softly behind you. The workshop returns, quiet, dim, familiar. For a moment, you simply stand there, letting your eyes adjust, letting your breath settle, letting the stillness welcome you back. The faint glow beneath the metal pot still lingers, a small flame, just as you left it, patient, unmoving. Waiting, you step closer, your boots pressed gently against the wooden floor, the soft creak stretching briefly into the room, then fading away. Everything is where it should be, the table, the molds, the shelves lined with finished candles, and yet the space feels different, not changed in shape, not altered in form, but filled, as if something unseen has followed you in, and now rests quietly within these walls. You reach the table, set the empty crate down. It makes almost no sound. Just a soft contact, barely enough to disturb the air. Your hands rest on its edge, still, calm. For a moment, you do nothing. You simply exist within the quiet. The same quiet that has carried you through the night. But now, it feels settled, no longer waiting, no longer watching, just present. You turn toward the flame beneath the pot. It flickers gently, casting a soft glow upward, touching the underside of the metal, reflecting faintly against its surface. You lower yourself slightly, bringing your hand closer to it, warm, steady, alive. You adjust it, just a little, not to grow it, not to diminish it, just enough to keep it as it is, because it does not need to change. It simply needs to remain. You straighten again. Your gaze drifts across the room. The shelves hold fewer candles now. Spaces that were once filled now stand empty, but it does not feel like something is missing. It feels like something has been placed elsewhere, like the room has given what it was meant to give. You take a slow breath, and as you do, you notice it, a new light, very faint, very small. Resting near the far corner of the room, you turn your head slightly. There, on the edge of the table, a candle, lit. You did not place it there. You are certain. You remember the table clearly. Empty, except for tools and molds, and yet the candle burns. Its flame is steady, soft, almost perfectly still. You do not move toward it immediately. You simply watch. The light it casts is gentle. It does not push back the darkness. It blends with it, becomes part of it. You take a slow step forward, then another. Your movements remain calm, unchanged, as if this moment, like all the others, is simply part of the night. You stop beside the table, look down at the candle. Its surface is smooth, its wick perfectly centered, just like the ones you made, just like the ones you placed. But this one, you did not create, you did not carry, you did not light, and still, it burns. You lift your hand slightly, not to touch, not to disturb, just to feel the warmth of its flame. It is real, steady, present. You lower your hand again, and for a moment, You consider the quiet, not the absence of sound, but the kind of quiet that holds something within it, something complete. You understand now, not fully, not in words, but in feeling. The candles you placed, they were not for empty rooms. They were not for absence. They were for something that remained, something that did not leave, something that simply waited. And now, here, this place where the light is made, that some presence has returned, not as something unseen, not as something distant, but as something that leaves mark, a flame, a small, steady light, placed where you would see it. You step back slightly, your gaze still resting on the candle, your breath slow, even. There is no fear, no confusion, only a quiet recognition. The work you do, it is not done alone. It never was. You turn slightly, looking around the room. The shadows remain soft, the walls unchanged, but the space feels shared, not crowded, not occupied in a way that disturbs, just accompanied. You return your gaze to the candle. It continues to burn, unmoving, unwavering, as if it has always been there, as if it belongs. You take a slow breath. Gently, you nod, not to anyone you can see, not to anything you can name, just a small acknowledgement. Then you step back, your hands come to rest at your sides. The room settles again, the quiet deepens, but does not empty. The flame beneath the pot flickers softly. The candle on the table burns steadily. 2 points of light, separate and yet connected. Move toward your usual place, the chair beside the table. You sit. Slowly, the wood supports your weight with a soft, familiar creak. Your hands rest in your lap. Your gaze softens. The night continues around you, unseen, unheard, but no longer unknown. You are here. The flame remains, and the quiet is no longer something you walk through. It is something you share. And for the first time, you do not feel like the last one left. You feel like part of something that continues, softly, silently, endlessly, like the flame that does not go out. You remain seated, the quiet resting gently around you. The workshop feels still, but not empty, never empty. The small flame beneath the pot flickers softly, its light steady, patient, unchanged. And beside it, on the edge of the table, the other candle continues to burn. Its glow is calm, almost unmoving, as if it exists beyond the slow passing of time. You sit with it, not watching too closely, not thinking too deeply, just being. Your breath moves in a slow rhythm, in and out, matching the stillness, matching the night. There is no need to move now. Oh, candles left to place, no paths left to walk. The village has its light, each house holds its flame, and whatever remains within those quiet spaces has found something to rest beside. You close your eyes, just for a moment, not to sleep, not yet, but to feel the warmth of the room, the softness of the silence, the quiet presence that no longer feels distant. It feels close now, not surrounding you, not pressing in, just sitting with you, like the candle across the table, steady, unspoken, present. You open your eyes again. Nothing has changed. And yet, everything has settled. The room breathes slowly, in the way only still places can. The wooden walls hold her quiet. The floor rests beneath your feet. The air carries no urgency, no expectation, only calm. You lean back slightly in the chair. Your body relaxes. The weight of the night begins to soften, not disappear, just ease, like something gently setting itself down. Your gaze drifts toward the door, closed, still. Beyond it, the village waits, lit now, not brightly, not loudly, but softly. Each candle a small, steady point of light, holding its place in the darkness. You can almost see it, the narrow paths, the quiet homes, the open doors, and inside, the gentle glow of flame. Not alone, never alone. You let the image rest in your mind. Then slowly it fades. There is no need to hold onto it. It remains, whether you see it or not. You turn your attention back to the room, to the flame, to the stillness. The candle on the table flickers once, just slightly, then steadies again. Its light reaches softly across the surface of the wood, touching your hands, your arms, the edges of the space around you. It does not demand attention. It does not change. It simply continues. And in that quiet continuation, you understand something more. The night does not end. Not here, not in the way it once did. There's no clear beginning, no clear finish, only a gentle cycle. Wax becomes light. Light fills the dark softens and waits again. And you are part of that cycle, not alone, never alone. You take a slow breath, and as you exhale, your body settles deeper into the chair. The sounds of the world, whatever remains of them, fade further away. There is only this space now, this room, this quiet, this steady, unbroken calm. Your eyes grow heavier, not from exhaustion, but from peace, from the absence of anything that asks you to stay alert, to stay aware, to stay ready. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to carry, nothing left to question, only to rest. The flame beneath the pot continues its soft, patient flicker. The candle across the table remains steady. Two lights, holding the space between them. You let your gaze soften until the edges of the room blur slightly, until the shadows blend, and the light becomes something gentle, something distant. Your breathing slows even more. In out. A quiet rhythm, the kind that belongs to sleep. And as you sit there, in the warmth, in the stillness, in the presence of something that no longer needs to hide, the night continues. Not as something empty, not as something silent, but as something calm, something steady, something that stays. The candles will burn, the wax will melt again, the paths will wait, and you will return. Not because you must, but because it is where you belong. For now, you rest. The flame remains, the quiet holds, and the night gently carries you into sleep.